Hello and welcome to another episode of the Jimmy and Rex Show. I'm here today with Miranda Alcaraz, and previously known to me as Miranda Chivers. She is kind of the face of CrossFit. You're one of the first and most well-known female athletes of CrossFit.
I think now they call me like an OG, like an old person in CrossFit. But yeah, for a long time there, I was one of the main like women that they featured a lot, for sure.
Yeah, no, and you have over 300,000 Instagram followers with, I mean, I'm guessing most of them are CrossFit or in
I think so.
Fitness enthusiasts.
I think so,
like
yeah,
that.
definitely.
Well, it's very fun. So I've known Miranda since I was about 12 years old when I moved into Murray, and you lived next door to me.
I did.
I literally remember when my parents were moving to Murray, and I was kind of bummed. Like I had a really
Where did you move from?
From Taylorsville.
Okay.
So I had a really good group of friends, and when we were moving, I was pretty bummed about it. And honestly, like we picked the house, and he goes, Jimmy, my dad was like selling me on moving there, and he goes, there's a really cute girl next door, and there's a really cute girl across the street, both your age. So Allie Bladen at the time was across the street. So it was pretty funny, and it literally like got me excited, if I'm being honest here.
You had a big crush on Allie for a long time, right?
Biggest crush for like, you don't even want to know. Like I remember, I'll tell you a funny, like Allie to this day is one of my favorite people in the world. Like she's a sweetheart. But no, I had the biggest crush. I remember like every Valentine's I would like run across the street and drop off like a teddy bear or something.
I remember that.
Oh man, I was so adorable.
Oh, that's so funny.
But yeah, so, well, tell me a little bit, you just became a mom.
I did, 7 months ago, yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that. How was that?
I mean, I don't know which part of it you want me to tell, but...
well, how different has your life been as a mom as opposed to before? Because before you were, I mean, you've always been busy. You're training, you're a trainer for Cross, all these other things. Starting your own company, all these other things. So
yeah.
how's the transition to being a mom been versus all that?
It's been interesting because of the timing. So the biggest change I would say is the travel has been a lot less. I used to travel a lot, either for work or for fun or whatever. But starting the business and the pregnancy came literally at the exact same time. We posted about our business for the first time in November of 2016, and literally a week later I found out I was pregnant. And so I was growing 2 babies at once, basically, and it was insane. I would not recommend that for anyone, ever.
Well, yeah, no, I can imagine. Well, I just know, like, for me, people are always like, how do you have so much time to do all these things? I'm like, well, I don't have any kids. Like, I really appreciate, I watch my siblings or some of the people that we know, you know, and I feel like sometimes on Instagram, I feel like I like follow people's kids, not them, because that's what they always post, you know?
I know.
So it is nice that you still post stuff about you and everything, too.
I mean, it's hard, like, I post about my kid way more than I thought that I was going to, though, because I was like, I'm not going to be one of those people that's so weird and boring. And then you just can't help it. They're just so awesome and so cute, at least to you. So
no, I love it. Well, let's back up. In high school, you weren't exactly like, I mean, I think you were a cheerleader. I remember that. You and Liz Barnum at the time, I guess. And you were kind of like the 2 cheerleaders, but you weren't really like this fitness guru or anything like that.
No, not at all. So Liz actually was the person who took me to the gym for the first time because her family had a membership to the sports mall, which was like the coolest.
Yeah, I remember like totally as like a 14-year-old seeing, oh my gosh, I think there's Liz and Miranda at the sports mall.
So we would go, and Liz was always the one that like knew about what to eat. I mean, she didn't know, but she thought she did, and we would eat like the weirdest things, and knew about what to do to work out. And so she was really the person that took me. And then when I was a cheerleader as a junior, Chantel Harmon was on the track team, and she had a 6-pack. And Catherine Hansey, too.
Oh, yeah.
And they would look so good. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to have a 6-pack. And they were like, you know what? Join the track team. They were like, that's what did it for me. And I was like, done. So senior year, I did that. And it worked. And that's when I started, working out a little bit more, was when we were like seniors.
Okay. So so you kind of, from that point on, you just kept it going, because you kind of got into personal training and things like that, right?
Yeah, so also my high school boyfriend, I don't know if you remember Ben Komatsu.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
His mom coached spin classes, or at the sports mall.
Okay.
Like the cycling classes. And so I would go to those because I really liked going there and to be there with his mom. And so I started there. That was my first certification that I got. And then I did like some aerobics, like, I don't know, like cardio kickboxing and that sort of thing. During the Olympics, I had a class that was like downtown, so that was really cool. I thought I was like,
You'd arrived.
Yeah, I thought I was like coaching Olympians at that point.
Yeah.
It was just people who lived down the street. But, and then, yeah, so from there I did personal training, and I actually went to school for interior design during this whole thing, but I ended up never using it.
So you're going to have like the best gym, like the nicest looking gym
Exactly.
in town, right?
So that's more like, I do that kind of stuff for fun, but I ended up just loving training, and I did that. So I've done it since we were in high school, basically.
Well, and you, because I kind of lost track of you and I, like, I left on my mission, you come back and you're doing your thing, I'm doing mine. But then all of a sudden, I remember when I heard you were doing CrossFit, and, but it was just several years later, but, and I ran into you at the movie theater.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you invited me to come, and I was
You never came.
I did it, and you totally called me out on it, too. You were like, don't be such a sissy.
I definitely said it. I think it was meaner than that.
Yeah, it was meaner than that, basically. But I remember, like, just, it was really cool. I was like, wow, like, that's really cool. Like, what a fascinating... And you actually opened the first CrossFit gym in Salt Lake, right?
Yeah, in Salt Lake. So I was a personal trainer at a place in Holiday, in, like, a small studio at that point. And the way that I found CrossFit back then was not what it is now. Like, people hadn't heard of it. It wasn't even a thing.
There's a bunch of weirdos in a warehouse throwing tires, basically, right?
Yeah, so I found the website because I was, like, Googling military-style training because I was bored with what I was doing with, like, Bosu balls and stuff like that. I thought it was lame. And I wanted to do more, like, boot camp type stuff. And I found it. And I remember, like, I wrote a letter or, like, an email to all my personal trainer friends, was like, hey guys, I found this program. To decide if I like it, I'm only going to do this. I'm not going to do any of the stuff I've been doing. And in a month, I'm going to see if it works. And there was no follow-up email. I was like sold.
You were all in.
And so, yeah, then I started doing it with my clients because I did it for myself first, and I started doing it with my clients. And the gym owner that I was at, the studio, they did not like the group fitness idea. They were like, you guys are too rowdy, you're making too much noise. And so they actually locked me out.
Wow.
Like, I went there to train a client one day and my key didn't work. And that's why I ended up opening my own place because I had no choice. So
wow, so you literally like were causing such a ruckus at the gym.
We were like throwing up in the parking lot and stuff.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Sure. Well, that was always my problem with CrossFit. Is like, personally, I did it for like a month. And
where?
Like, in Orem. And I was just like, I don't want to work out this hard. Like,
I know.
It's like a full on. It's basically, well, because I go in the middle of my day, work out. It's a really good break in my day for work. Like, I go do real estate in the morning.
Yeah.
I go to the gym. I kind of get my second wind for work, because a lot of times I have appointments or I'm showing homes at night, you know, and or doing interviews like podcasts and stuff like that. But when I did CrossFit, because you have to warm up, you got to stretch and do all your rollouts and all that stuff, and you know, you got your workout of the day up on the wall or whatever, and then it would just kill you though. And instead of getting my second win for the day, I was dead. I was dead. And I like always would have to shower, because a lot of times when I work out midday, if I don't run with the workout, if I'm doing biceps or something, I'm not going to go take a full shower.
No, you can last until you get home.
Yeah, CrossFit, no, you're like, might as well jump in a swimming pool of sweat. So that was the hardest part for me, but I can appreciate, like, I need to do it again because it was the best working out I ever got, like by far, like.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, I mean, at the time, there were no CrossFit gyms, so I was a trainer, but a lot of the movements I had never done before, because in most gyms, you don't do cleans and snatches, and even like back then, no one was doing burpees or anything, so we were learning how to do it by watching YouTube videos, and there was no one to tell us to use less weight, or there was no one to tell us to, like, cut the time off when you got hit a certain point. Nothing. We had no guidance, so it was just us, like. And I was 25 at the time, so, I mean, the puking was funny and fun, and we were all, you know, super young and just going for it. And that's not how we run our business or what we tell people to do now, but it was awesome.
What a fun time, though. And so where was that gym at that you opened up that first one?
It was in Midvale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just like off of 7200, and it was like off of 7th West.
Is it still there now, the CrossFit gym? Or?
No, so we sold, at the time I sold my gym to one of the trainers, and he still has it, but he has moved it. It's in like, at least the last time I checked in with him, it was in like the Sugar House area.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, and so what was it about CrossFit? Looking back now, now that you've, 10-year journey, right?
Yeah.
You've literally traveled to over 100 places and taught CrossFit. You teach the trainers, is that correct? Is that
so I opened the gym in 2008, and also in 2008 I got onto the CrossFit seminar staff, and from there I worked on the seminar staff for like until 2016. So for 8 years,
wow.
traveling the world and coaching coaches. Yeah.
And so what was it about CrossFit, looking back now, what do you think it was that it just immediately you attached to that made it so much fun for you?
So I thought that I was fit. Like at this point, I'm 25 years old, and I had been working out for like 8 years consistently. And I competed in an NPC fitness competition, and I won. I was like Miss Fitness Utah in like 2000. I don't even know, 2 or 1 or who knows.
Congrats.
Thank you. And so I, like I thought I was fit, and these workouts wrecked me. Like I was like, I feel like I've never worked out in my life, and I feel so uncoordinated, but they were also fun. Like it, because you've done it, it's never boring.
No,
there's that.
Yes, yeah, you're definitely like excited to be there.
And it's like almost a form of meditation because you can't think about anything else. My oldest brother does it, and he put it the best way. He's like, in the middle of these workouts, you're not thinking, I wonder what I'll have for dinner, or you're not thinking about the guy at work that irritates you. Like it's survival mode while you're doing it, and so it's almost like a mind clearing like meditation, which I really still to this day it's what it is for me, and I enjoy it.
Well, and I think it's important, like you said, it's like you change your body's mode. It's very healthy. I think anytime you can get your body to like kind of freak out a little bit, it's like Tony Robbins jumps in cold water every morning, right? And takes an ice bath. Like your body's just like, hey, I don't like this, but it's like kind of controlling that and overcoming it, and
it's like mind over matter at that point. You really learn, and it does have like such a carryover into real life, because it's like no matter what I do for the rest of my day, the only thing that I've experienced physically worse than like a CrossFit workout is obviously when I've been injured in the car accident and then giving birth. That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But
did you do it without taking any of the anesthetics or whatever?
I did. No drugs for the birth, but it teaches you like mind over matter and how to kind of control your thoughts and stuff like that. Usually. So,
That's great. And I want to kind of dive into that because you are quoted as saying like your accident kind of CrossFit saved your life in a way. Yeah. Tell that whole story if you would, and kind of what happened, because that was 4 or 5 years ago.
I was in a car. It was 2012, so it was like almost 6 years ago. Okay, that's crazy. So I used to compete too. So I was at a pretty high level with CrossFit, and much further than you would like need to go as a regular person, because I was trying to like compete and qualify at the CrossFit Games, if people have seen those on TV. And I was coaching the seminars still, and when I was at one of the seminars, actually down here, like 5 miles from where I live now, but I lived in Northern California at the time, I left at lunch during the seminar to go get coffee for the rest of the trainers, so nice. And I got Tboned on the way back by a car going like 40 miles an hour. I was in like a crappy rental car, Chevy Cruze, and this was like a heavy Mercedes. And it totally like spun my car around, and airbags everywhere, and I got really messed up. They took me in an ambulance, and long story short, they did not diagnose my problem besides that I had broken my hand, and they just said, like, you're probably gonna have some really bad whiplash, and here's a soft collar, here's some pain medication, like, see you later type of thing. And so the following week was the CrossFit Games, and I had not made it and qualified that year, luckily. But I was there, and I was working for CrossFit, interviewing athletes.
Yeah, I remember watching that. That's when I first kind of realized you were a really big deal in CrossFit. You were totally interviewing all the athletes and stuff. Yeah,
so I was interviewing them, and I was like, I was in a lot of pain, to the point where I couldn't brush my teeth. I had to sleep like sitting up and stuff, but I was like, oh, well, this is what whiplash feels like. So, man, this whiplash thing, but it didn't go away. So when I got home, the doctor who had been treating me for my broken hand was like, your neck still hurts you that bad? And I was like, well, yeah. He's like, let's x-ray your neck. And they found out 17 days after the accident that my neck had been broken the whole time.
Was it the same doctor that was helping with your hand?
Yeah, so he was the one that was like, kind of thought it was weird that I was still in that much pain. And so they call it a hangman's fracture, because it's literally the exact same break that people have when they hang themselves.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah, I mean, it was you were. I mean, could have been any slight thing you could.
Oh yeah, they told me if I would have like tripped and fallen, or if I would have, even gotten like slightly rear-ended or sneezed wrong or whatever, that I definitely could have been paralyzed like for the rest of my life, like neck down type of situation. So your question was about CrossFit saving my life. So they told me that because I had so much muscle in my neck and like my shoulders, like my traps, that it almost worked as like a soft collar for that whole entire time.
Wow.
And they told me in the accident, if I wouldn't have had that, I probably would have been paralyzed on the spot. But it, again, like it all tightened when the accident happened. So
yeah, well, what a great blessing that like you actually had the one injury that like your neck saved you from. So.
I know. Well, it's similar. They gave me the example of like football players. They have to have these huge neck and shoulders because they are slammed into, and so their body can take it. So, I mean, I didn't think I was that huge. I guess whatever. But I have more muscle than the average
Yeah,
one.
sure. Do you ever have people especially when you're like in real training mode where you're getting ready for these games and stuff, do you have people that like come up to you or like look at you like, wow, that woman is really like ripped, like...
It's so funny because my friends and I'm like kind of in like a little CrossFit bubble where unless I go to like the airport or the mall or something like that, I don't really hang out with people that don't do it. And it's not because I don't like people, it's just that I work in it and like it's who I'm around. So people are so funny though because they'll come up and they'll like touch you. It's almost like when you're pregnant and you're like, excuse me, or they'll be like, oh, you like to work out, don't you? And you're like, that's so awkward.
Yeah.
Like that would be like, I couldn't go up to someone that's like, I don't know, super skinny and be like, you clearly don't lift weights, do you? Like, that would be so mean.
Yeah. No.
But you can't do that. But people come up and they do say the weirdest things, or they'll just, like, touch you, or, like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's it. Well, I can imagine, because, like, I know anytime when I've been around some of the football players I hang out with and stuff, and people are just kind of stare and they just, like, look at you. And I can just imagine, because you have very built physique when you're in your CrossFit and you're in very good shape, so... Yeah. Well, and so talk a little bit about, you've kind of transitioned these last year and a half. You said you started your own business, and it's really cool, and actually cool timing with your pregnancy, because tell us a little bit, your company is kind of designed around working out at home and working out as a mom and all that, right?
Yeah, so actually the business, I would say it started in 2015. I was competing at the games on a team, and we were winning. We were like set to win, like we had prepared so well, and we had such a great team, and then in that competition, I tore my ACL.
Oh.
We had 2 days left, and our team was disqualified because you have to have all 6 people, and I was injured, and they wouldn't let me try to compete.
Were you still trying to?
Oh yeah, there? I was like, wrap it up, like it's fine, like we're winning, like what's a day and a half of just wrecking myself to try to? And they were like, absolutely not. That's not good. And so after that, I like had given up so much in my life. Like I hadn't been working as much. Like I'd had my whole life wrapped up in winning the CrossFit Games, and then it got kind of taken away from us. That's when I moved down here. I got a full-time job working at a supplement company. Okay. And I was done competing. I was like, I'm not going to compete anymore. Like, I'm getting older. I need to like start thinking of my future and like what I'm doing career-wise and stuff. So it was the first time I had a Monday through Friday full-time job. And so I started only going to classes. That was pretty much the only training I was doing. And then I started dating Julian, and he lived up in northern LA, which was like an hour and a half if there's no traffic, and like forget it if there is traffic. And he was really busy and I was really busy. He just started a company, a meal prep company, like paleo meals that are delivered. Yeah. And so we started working out a lot in his garage when I was up there because we were just too busy to even make it to the gym. And we noticed that when we would post something, because he has a good Instagram following too, because he's competed in the games, that when we posted a simple workout, either in a hotel or in a garage, the response to that was so much bigger than if we posted some like amazing feat that we did in the gym that people just can't really relate to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So I said we should create something that people can follow. And it wasn't really like a business, like to make money. It was more like, hey, let's help people to see that it doesn't need to be as complicated as they think it needs to be to do CrossFit or this type of training. They can do it at home. And so we started that Instagram account, and
What's that account so people can follow that?
@street_parking. Okay. Was the original account. And then I got with a company that has an app that is really created for gyms. So I don't know if you had when you were at your CrossFit gym where you could go online and see the workout of the day and enter your score and look at your score compared to everyone else's. Yeah. So I was like, hey, I want to do this, but it's going to be more of like a web-based thing, but I want people to be able to compare their times and scores and see the workout. So I worked with, I got together with one of those companies, and we started posting the workouts, and like a week later, I found out I was pregnant, and I thought the business was over. I'm like, nobody wants to see a pregnant lady showing you what to do for your workouts. Like, that's not, it's this, I'm going to lose all my Instagram followers while I'm pregnant. Like, no one wants to see it. And actually, the exact opposite happened.
Yeah.
Like, moms, our business now is like 70% women. And it's not because the workouts are better for women. It's just because they saw a realistic person. And I think in the fitness industry, you see these, like, ripped women who don't really seem to do anything else besides work out all day long, and it's like, well, that's great for you, but I don't have time for this.
Yeah, like the old joke is like, I just want to get in good enough shape so I can go to the gym and work out, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You just like feel like you're dumb around these people because it's like it kind of does become their life in some ways, and so like average person's like, I got an hour a day, or I got 25 minutes. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I don't even have time to go to the gym, and that was our big thing. It was like, hey, like, we're going to train at our house. Granted, we have a lot of equipment, but our program, if you have a couple sets of dumbbells and like a jump rope, you can do 90% of our workouts. Half of our members are doing it in their living room or like on the balcony at their apartment and stuff like that, and seeing really good results because it's not, I mean, it's what you put into it. You don't need a lot of time, and people just don't know how.
So did you, when you were pregnant, were you working out this entire time? Like, I can just picture you. I've seen some of your pictures on Instagram. I mean, you're pretty pregnant.
Yeah.
You're in the gym doing these workouts. Did you ever go to like a public gym workout when you were that pregnant?
No,
I think I would if I was you. I would have like gone and done that just to mess with people.
Just like doing pull-ups and stuff? No, but I did. I mean, I did what I could do. And one thing that I think really helped us when people latched onto it was I was honest about it, because I have seen on social media too where you see the highlight reel of people's lives, really. And you don't see the like, man, I don't feel like working out today. I haven't worked out for 3 days. Most people in the fitness industry make it seem like they're always motivated. They always have great workouts. They're always
eating healthy.
Perfect. Their workout clothes always match. And they're, you know, and it's just not, and it makes people feel like that's just not me. Like I can't do it. So I tried to be really honest where I would get on my story and be like, guys, I don't feel like working out. I'm just going to go sit on the bike for 10 minutes and then see how that goes. Or I'd be like, I haven't worked out for 2 or 3 days. I got to do something, or I'm so tired. Like, you know, so I was really honest about it, and I think people really latched onto that too.
Well, I think that vulnerability, it's like the whole key to life, because it's like every time I've opened up to a group or something, right, about something that's I struggle with or whatever, it's so funny to watch how much more they actually like seem to connect with you.
I think realness is like so hard to find now, so that's why.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, and so with street parking, is that full time what you're doing now then? Yeah,
so that wasn't necessarily the plan. I went on maternity leave. So Knox was born in July, or on August 1st. He was due in July. He was born a few days late. I went on maternity leave like 2 weeks before he was born. And then I was planning on going back to the supplement company afterwards.
Okay.
But street parking had gotten so big and we were so busy. We had something around like 1,500 to 2,000 members. And I was like, this is an opportunity that I need to do well with and stop treating it like a part-time side job.
Yeah.
And I was actually making more money doing that than my regular job anyway. So yeah, I just ended up not going back to the supplement company after my maternity leave, and they're super cool about it. They totally support us 100%. Another reason that it grew so big during that time was Julian. He was almost, I would say 90% only doing street parking workouts. He wasn't even going to sign up for what's called the CrossFit Open, which is like every year anyone can sign up in the world, and there's like 5 to 6 workouts that you do 1 a week, and then after that they take the top, you know, like 20 in this area, 20 in that area, and they whittle it down, and then they do regionals, and that's where people have seen kind of more what it looks like the sport, and they compete, and then from there, 40 men and 40 women in the world get invited to go to the games.
Wow.
Well, he, only doing street parking workouts with his pregnant wife in our garage, shows up at regionals and qualifies for the game. Like, had no intention of even signing up because he's like, I'm too busy. Like, I used to train 5 hours a day. Now I'm lucky if I get an hour. Like, it's not going to work. He went and he did so great, and he qualified. So that also boosted it for us too, because you've got pregnant Miranda over here doing the same workouts as Julian, and they're both, you know, doing good. So
That's great.
Yeah.
We'll attach a link to your website so people that are interested in signing up for that can know where to go with that. Well, I want to get into a little bit more personal too. I think that's, like you said, as a 35, are you 35, 30? I mean,
I'm 35.
Okay, I know because of my own age, I guess. And
yeah, we're the same age.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that funny? Like, I feel like I don't feel old, but like I feel really young. But like when I was a kid, a 35 or 36-year-old was so old. I
mean, my mom had me when she was 30. Like, my mom was always so old. Like,
I know,
what the
right?
heck?
I know, so it's funny to me. I was just like, well, like last year, for example, we have, a very close mutual friend, Liz Badger. And last year we got to see about everybody from high school because Liz actually passed away.
Yeah.
And at her funeral and everything else. You were best friends with Liz. In high school, and I hope this is, comfortable or whatever, but in high school, Liz was like the popularest girl in all of school. Everyone wanted to, she's the happiest person I've ever met.
I was always so jealous of her.
Everybody was. It was like, I remember being in my buddy's basement, and we were like talking about, like, we sat there for 10 minutes trying to get the nerve for one of us to call to like ask her out on a date. Oh yeah,
we're like friends with you guys.
I know, but
you're talking about Ben.
No, I don't remember which one of it. I just know we were in Chris's. We were in Chris's basement.
Oh my
but
God.
we were in all fairness, I was kind of immature when it came to girls in high school and all that stuff. I was nervous.
You hit it well.
I did. I was super nervous. I remember I asked you out once. I think we went on one date. You remember that? Like, to the movies.
I didn't want to date with you. I dated your brother.
I know you did, but it was. It was before that, I think.
Okay.
It was just like we were in high school. Me and my friends, we would like ask girls on dates like one night a week. We'd go to the movies or go bowling. We were so old school. I loved it though. I appreciated it. Yeah, no, like looking back, we were so geeky, like, but we just wanted to like date.
You guys weren't geeky.
It was just
the baseball
fun. We were, but it was just fun. But I remember like trying to get the nerve to call Liz. I think it was Frank. Anyway, I'm telling this story because I think there's a lot to learn from what happened here. But Liz actually ended up committing suicide last April, and it was just an eye-opener for me. I got the chance to go with her to Haiti a couple times. She basically helped build an orphanage down there and did a lot of great things. And she had so much good going on in her life. And I think for me, it was I had no idea that this depression was even there. And it was like, it was the first time that I actually was like, wow, like, people like this depression thing's like a real thing. If it got Liz, it can get anybody. Tell me a little bit about like how that was for you, like, because being so close to Liz and kind of what your experience was.
Liz definitely growing up was, like you said, like I've always felt like Liz's sidekick. And I think I actually was Liz's sidekick. Like that, it was Miranda and Liz, but it was always like Liz was the superstar and Miranda was like the funny friend or something. I don't know, that hung out with her. And she taught me a lot. Like she always had it so much more together. And I felt, she was a year older than me, but we were in the same grade.
Right.
So I always felt like she was like teaching me about life. Like she had her license for a year before I did. And she knew about working out, like I told you. And everything that we did, let's be student body officers. All right, I'll do it. Like, it was always Liz's idea. And then somehow we would do it, and she would always end up, she was so good with, like, the teachers and stuff, that somehow she would end up not really having to do any of the work. And, like, me and Summer and Sumi or whoever the other student body officers were, we would end up doing all the work while Liz was just, like, schmoozing with the teachers and stuff. But that was just her. And but she was like really a perfectionist, and I would say that our group of friends in general have that. The 6 of us that were close in high school, we all have a little bit of that in us, and we've talked about it since then, where it's just like they're all super successful now too. One of them's a physical therapist, and one of them's a NICU nurse, and then we've got like a lawyer, and like now that I have a child, I can understand Liz's situation, and she was a go-getter, and Lulu was so sick, and she felt like she couldn't fix her, you know what I mean? And I think I was pregnant when Liz passed away, and I could kind of start to understand what that must have felt like, but now that Knox is 7 months old, like I can't even imagine for somebody that always had so much control of her own life and everything, how hard that must have been for her to feel like she couldn't schmooze the teacher out of Lulu being sick, you know what I mean? And this was a new position for her, and man, like, it goes to show, because she also would never show anybody how.
Yeah, she was very good at hiding. You know, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I do this charity event each December. It was a black tie gal, and, you know, she had volunteered to help every year. And the last year before, and I didn't realize, like, she was really struggling at that time. I didn't know this till later, and she was like, hey, I can't come, I'm so sorry. And I was just like, oh, something important must have come up or whatever, you know. But she really was, like, always that first person. So that does make a lot of sense, I guess, in the sense that, like, she always had a way of kind of, like, almost like fixing the system or fixing the situation, whatever she needed to do, and how that probably wore on her at that time. Did you feel any, like, did you see it coming? Or, like, because what I'm trying to bring out a little bit is, like, most people know somebody that's depressed, or, you know, they are themselves, maybe if they're listening to this, like, what, like, looking back, is there anything that you wish that you'd done, or is there anything that you saw that maybe, like, I don't know, because I play that through my head, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like, afterwards you can always be like, oh, well, there was this one thing, or I should have noticed this, and everybody blames himself, and everyone tries to look for, like, how I should have seen it or figured it out. We hadn't been super close, like, we didn't talk a lot, because our lives were, I mean, completely different. I was over here, like, coaching CrossFit in all these different countries, and she had her kids and stuff, so our lives had kind of been different. I had seen her a couple times when I would go home, but we weren't as close. She reached out to me a few times for the Haiti trips too, to ask to, like, help with donations and stuff, and I definitely always wanted to help her with that, but no, like, I wasn't close enough to her at the time to have noticed, I don't think.
No, that makes sense. Well, like, for me, like, even at the Haiti trips, like, well, how she got me to go on the first Haiti trip, like, she literally called me, and I didn't even know. She's like, hey, it's Liz. And, like, I've met a lot of people over the years. I didn't even know which Liz it was. I hadn't talked to Liz in, like, 5 or 6 years, you know. She goes, I need you to come with me on this Haiti trip.
That's so funny, because I figured because I saw that you went, I was like, oh, I didn't know that those two were still so close.
I hadn't talked to her. I mean, because we were really good, close in high school. I hadn't talked to her for 5 or 6 years. I mean, she got married. I'm doing the single thing, right? And it was funny because she's like, hey, you've got to come on this trip. And I was like, all right, I'll consider it. And I'd seen she'd posted some stuff on Instagram or whatever, so I was, like, looking at it. And then, you know, but she wanted to go over New Year's. I'm like, I ain't giving up my New Year's to go on some...
in Vegas.
Yeah, and she was going with this group of this random, like, Christian group.
Yeah.
Like her new church or whatever, you know. And I was like, well, I don't know anybody besides Liz. I barely know her husband. So I blew her off. And 3 more times, she kept hitting me up. Oh, and she just like, Jimmy, you have to come. And so finally I was like, fine, okay. I kind of had a cool experience. I'm like, all right, I'll go. And it was like one of the most life-changing, cool experiences I've ever had. You know?
Bet.
And I was so grateful after everything happened last year that, like, because we ended up going on that one. It's 10 days. You don't have cell phones. You don't have distractions. You literally, like, you're sitting there in 2-hour bus rides and at this orphanage just really connecting and talking. And I mean, the amount of FaceTime I got with her between that trip and the other one is years of a normal friendship, right?
Right.
Like, all packed into those 2 weeks. And then, you know, we were talking a lot, but in between on that stuff too. But yeah, it was just one of those eye-openers for me. I think hopefully people listening, like, I didn't mean for us to, like, be like, but it's just one of those things where I don't know, I just look back like how I could have helped out or some things like that. And it's like you said, I don't think you see it or anything like that. But for the first time, it became real. And so I do, like, acknowledge, like, okay, when people have this depression or things like that, like, take that serious and really pay attention to that. And if you are, like, in that spot, to, like, reach out. You know, I've tried to look in my own life, people that are close to me that maybe, like, need that. And I just try to stop by or, like, give them a call and do some of those little things. You just never know where somebody is and you don't know it.
Yeah, so like I said, there was a group of 6 of us that were really close in high school. And, of course, you know, when we saw each other at the funeral, it was like, none of us were super close. I mean, I think Allie still, the other 3 of them still live in Utah. And then myself and Emily live here in California, but all of us, I assumed that they were all still close and it was just me that was out here, like, not talking to them, and everybody kind of felt the same way. And of course, like, we were like, of course, Liz, like, had to bring us all together and be like, guys, I'm going to need you guys to stay closer. And we've stayed close since then. And it's just a good reminder for us, too. It's like that people can know you. Like, obviously, people that know me in my life now, they know a lot more about who I am now. But there's something about, like, people who knew you then.
Yeah, when you're, like, going through that.
It's, like, so sentimental and that, like, almost feels like home, like family more. Like, even if it's somebody that you haven't talked to for a long time. So
totally
keeping those connections, even if it's only like a reach out, hey, how's it going, like once a month, I think is important and helpful, and we've been trying to do a way better job of that.
No, and that is kind of cool. One thing that comes out of anything negative that happens in our lives, there's always these opportunities that come from that, right? Mm-hmm. Like I know when just being honest, when I was a senior in high school, we had a situation where my dad had actually been cheating on my mom.
I remember.
And I mean, it's like the roof being blown off your house.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was the crazy, and we were like this Mormon family, like we lived by the rules of the church. I mean, it was just a crazy time in my life, and I remember like that being such a crazy thing to happen to you your senior year, and I'm trying to decide what I'm doing with my life, and but what happened from that was the rest of my family, we kind of like united around each other, right? And I think it's what brought us all together. Like I know I wasn't that tight with my little sister Jenny, and after that all happened, I mean, it was like we became best friends.
Because nobody else understands it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like the what you could look at as the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. I actually probably was the best thing that ever happened to us because we're so tight as a family. I have such good relationships with each and every one of my siblings. Yeah. And so, I don't know, it's just kind of like life, you never know where it's going or what's going to happen, but like to really understand in those moments that it doesn't have to define your life for a negative way. When things happen, really good things can always come out of it or whatever. Well, we'll change the topic one more time here. I wanted our audience, because you are so good at your nutrition and your diet and your fitness, I want to get some hints and pointers for my audience here. Like average Joe person sitting at home wants to get into like being more fit, being really strong or whatever. Give us a little bit of some of the best advice that you have for people, or some of the things that people can do. Okay,
so some of the best advice that I have is nutrition's going to be a huge part of it. And there's not a pill, there's not a supplement, there's not a weird 6-week cleanse that you should do or anything like that. None of that is ever going to make long-term changes you're going to lose weight if you don't eat for 6 weeks and you just drink whatever, cayenne pepper and lemon water. Like, of course.
Sure.
But it's just all going to come back. So, the nutrition stuff, you've got to eliminate processed foods, specifically anything that has added sugar, which is almost everything if you start really looking at
what are a couple items that people wouldn't suspect then? Because that was an eye-opener for me when I started working with my nutritionist, Brad Jensen.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that people eat every day that you like they need to cut out?
I would say the most common thing that people don't even like register is sauces and stuff like that. Like you turn around a bottle of ketchup, it says sugar straight up on the label. I'm not like, we eat pretty clean, and what I mean by that is like, most people might think of it as like paleo, but we do oatmeal and we'll do rice and things like that are minimally processed. But anything that can, like, you could put it in your cupboard and forget about it for like 6 months and still pull it out and eat it, that is not good for you. And it's probably just loaded with calories that are not going to make you feel full, and sugar and that kind of thing. So look for obviously the word sugar on the label, but also like high fructose corn syrup and like these other types of sugars that are added to things. In our community, the way that people struggle is they eat clean, but they'll make like paleo brownies and paleo cookies and paleo pancakes and paleo everything. And it's like, it might not be table sugar, but you're adding a cup of honey to what you're making. Like it's still
a lot of sugar.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing is, eat food that you don't really need a food label to know what it is. If you have to turn it around and see what's in it, then it's not really real food. You don't have to do that with steak. You don't do that with Brussels sprouts. You don't do that with bananas. It's that you don't need a food label. So start there. Soft drinks and liquid is bad too.
Yeah.
Frappuccinos.
Milk was a big one to me. I couldn't believe how much sugar's in milk.
Oh yeah. And calories, liquid calories. So for some people that might be beer, for some people that might be Mountain Dew, for some people that might be their Frappuccino that they have every single day. Like that stuff really adds up. I think some of those Starbucks Frappuccinos have like 70 grams of sugar in them.
Oh, that's crazy.
And people don't even register that as calories or anything. It's a drink, so it's like whatever. So nutrition-wise, that's what we teach, is to eat real food. It's hard to overeat when you're eating real food. Workout, it's not as complicated as it needs to be. For us, our main thing is, if you have 45 minutes, get the most out of the 45 minutes possible. And 45 minutes of bicep curls is not going to get you as far as 45 minutes of burpees and, some deadlifts and some, full body.
What mistakes do
movements.
people make at the gym? Because people are either don't go to the gym or they go, but they don't feel like they're making, because your body rapidly, I mean, you really got fit. What mistake do people make at the gym that maybe keeps them from actually getting in the shape they want?
A lot of it is that they think that they need to have a lot more time, and so they'll be consistent in like January, and they do these workouts that take them like 2 hours, where it's like, all right, I need to do 5 sets of 12 curls, and then I need to do 5 sets of 12 lat pull downs. And I'm not saying that stuff doesn't work, it can, but it's unrealistic to keep that schedule. For us, it's about intensity. So if you've got 10 minutes, hit 10 minutes of burpees and air squats, and you're going to get more out of that than if you went to the gym and did a 45-minute elliptical while reading a magazine. Like, it's just not going to give you the same results. If you're not uncomfortable while you're working out, it's probably not doing anything.
That's a really good way to put it. Like, I know when I'm like half-assing it, and I'll be like making phone calls for work while I'm working out. It's like, clearly I'm not pushing myself very hard in this.
It's good to like
it's better than sitting home, but it's
absolutely.
Yeah, your body's not going to exactly start making changes.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be as complicated. Full body movements, free weights. Machines are not going to do as much for you, especially if you have minimal time, than if you're using dumbbells and sandbags and medicine balls and moving your own body weight through space, especially when it comes to like being more healthy and coordinated and less likely to injure yourself moving boxes to your new home or going to Costco and trying to load stuff in your car. The lat pull down machine doesn't exactly teach you how to pick something up off the ground or get in these awkward situations. So using like free weights in your own body.
And that's one thing that CrossFit does really well, right? Is that kind of why the CrossFit workout works so much better for real life energy and power and strength and all those things? Yeah,
because think about it, like a lot of the machines that you see at the gym, they're designed to make your muscle look a certain way. They're not designed to necessarily get your body to work as one whole unit. So that's the difference. And again, it's not that it won't work to make it look that way, but the human body's beautiful. It's designed beautifully. So if it's working functionally, you're going to look good. You don't need to isolate the little tiny muscle groups necessarily, unless you're overcoming injury, or unless you're going to be standing on stage and having somebody be like, well, his left calf is a little bit smaller than his right calf. And so that's just not necessary for the everyday person. They don't need to spend that much time, and they're going to get a lot more out of just going for it hard for 20 minutes than... And
are your workouts that you have on street parking, are they designed for 20 minutes at a time if needed and things like that?
Yeah, so the actual workout, like 3, 2, 1, go, like CrossFit, like where the clock's going, they'll be anywhere from like 10 to 30 minutes at the longest. Of course, there's a little bit of warm-up involved, and depends on how long you take to get going, but... For me personally, I work out for about 45 minutes, 5, maybe sometimes 6 days a week. And for the past 3 years, since I hurt my knee, that's it. That's all I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And you keep up.
Yeah, so it's actually been a shock to me, because I was pretty, like, when I was competing, I was like, oh man, like I look this way because I work out for 4 days a week, or 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it's actually been shocking to me. I get DMs from people, like our members even, that are like, so what else do you do? And I'm like, no, I don't have time. I'm breastfeeding my child. Like, I'm running this business. And people are like, well, so what else? I feel like I need to do more. And I'm like, you don't need to do more. You need to go harder in the workout. You need to be more uncomfortable while you're doing it. Because you can do CrossFit and not make it hurt. Like, you could have done it.
Yeah.
Just go slower, Jimmy.
Well, you can't if you're going with friends, because they're going to like be razzing you, right?
Just go slower, and you can make it super chill. But nobody does that, because it's like you're going to put your score on the board. And
they do a good job of like adding the element of the competition, right? Which is what people like anyway.
Like, it's the difference between like, hey Jimmy, let's go for a mile jog. cool, that sounds chill. Jimmy, let's run a mile for time and see how fast we can. That changes it completely, even though the work is exactly the same. The mind frame and how bad it's going to mess you up and what you're going to get out of it changes completely when you switch the mind frame to let's see how fast you can do it.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, last question here. You ever, do you come back to Utah a lot? Do you ever do trainings in Utah? Because, I mean, you're Utah at your core.
I
but
know.
You've been gone for a while now.
Now that we have the child, we'll be coming back more because my family wants to see him, and I'm the only sibling that doesn't live there. I have 5 siblings that are there, so we'll be coming back more.
You post that stuff like on your, I know you have a blog and your Instagram page. Like we'll attach all that in the notes. So if people want to catch a class while you're here, I'm guessing they.
Yeah.
When you like walk into a random CrossFit gym, or is it like a little mini celebrity moment?
Yeah, kind of. It depends on where you go.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, in the CrossFit community, people know who we are, which makes it really nice because when we travel, we can like, hey, what's up? Can we come use your gym? Like. At random odd hours and stuff like that, and it makes it nice.
That's awesome. That actually reminded me of one last question I want to ask you. How do you keep up when you're traveling? Because that's the hardest part for me when I'm trying to be in shape, is the travel. Do you have any tricks or anything that you do?
Yeah, all of our workouts require either no equipment or just a set of
there
dumbbells,
you go.
which you can find in any hotel gym.
I'm subscribing to it, because that's my biggest thing. It's like, I have to either look for a hotel that has a gym, and then it's like, but by the time I'm done with like a seminar or a day out, like where you don't want to go work out. So, but I can get 20 minutes.
We'll do it in our hotel room. Yeah,
yeah,
we'll do like some burpees and push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like lunges in our hotel room. And I think people think that it needs to look like, whether it's a bodybuilder, like, oh, I didn't get a workout in unless I was on the leg press machine, or for CrossFit, it's like, oh, well, I didn't have my barbell and my knee sleeves on, so it's like I didn't really work out. And it's like, well, 100 burpees for time works pretty good no matter where you go. And if you go hard at it, it's like running 1 mile as fast as possible. You're going to get something out of it. And it's so simple.
That's a great reminder for me, because it's just being lazy basically. But it's good to like know that that is a workout. That is a sufficient workout.
Yeah, and that's how, I mean, I was traveling so much. I think like the couple months before I found out I was pregnant, I went to Hawaii twice, the Cook Islands, we went to Mexico, Vegas, like I was all over the place, and we worked out every day, just made it happen. And a big following that we have is flight attendants and pilots, actually, that follow our program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much. This was fun catching up
and
learning more about
kind of what you're doing. Thanks for coming over to our home.
Yep. Okay. Thanks so much.